All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we have a game that we can finally talk about. The Colorado Avalanche and the Columbus Blue Jackets set to square off in Finland. Are these good for the NHL? Kyle and I will discuss that, as well as preview the game between the Avs and the Blue Jackets, and those Instagram questions that we didn't get to yesterday. We're going to do it today. That's why I'm wearing Star Wars, because there was a lot of Star Wars questions. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The offseason is over. We finally have oh no, we're a month into the season. We just have not had hockey for about a week. But we do today, and we're going to talk all about that. Get excited because hockey is back. It seems like it hasn't been here forever. But first things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. You can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter. Yeah. Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe to get notified when a new show goes live. All right, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, we are finally going to be able to watch some Avalanche hockey. We'll get into the matchup in the next segment. But for this one, because we really haven't talked about what's going on in Finland really all week, because it's kind of been quiet. Yeah, if you're following the team and stuff like that on social media and things like that, you're seeing them. I mean, they just started practicing the other day. You're seeing them eat some, Finnish food and things like that. That's all fun and cool to see. But it's kind of been really all quiet for the most part, as far as like content goes and what's going on over there. And I gotta ask, man, like we're here, like we finally have a game, two of them, and it's gone. And the Avalanche last game was 6 days ago, right? We're closing in on a week,
Yeah.
I think. So is this? I think it's great. First of all, I think it's great that because, and I just did the Locked On NHL show with Adam Denker. We kind of touched on this, and we recorded that earlier. And since we finished recording, I'm thinking about it more and more about what him and I were talking about. And I'm not saying like this isn't necessary. I think it's great that the NHL does this, because more than any other sport, they have the players from all around the globe. And, other sports do, like basketball and things like that. But I think more so in the NHL. So it's cool for those players, especially, your Patrick Laine's and Mikko Rantanen's and Arturi Lekkänen's, to go back to their home country and play. For them, this is when they retire and they look back, they're like, that was, a great moment for me. But when you're like a fan, like if you're not an Avalanche fan and you're not a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, do you just look at this as another game? Like, do you really care that it's being played in another country right now?
Yeah, I think if you are one of those fan bases that do not have an allegiance, I think you treat this like San Jose and Nashville to open the season.
Yeah.
Like it
I
happened.
agree.
It was cool. You wanted hockey, regulation hockey. Well, here you go. Nobody cared.
And I think you're if you want to tune in, you're tuning in because you either are a hockey fan and you just want to watch hockey, or you're a fan of those two teams. I don't know how many people actually tuned in because, oh, they're playing in another country, I'm going to tune in for that specific reason. And it's kind of similar with like the NFL and like going over to London for all these games. And, people are going to tune in because it's a football game. Are they tuning in because it's being played out of the country? Sure. I'm sure there are people, but like all the other London games, I really didn't care. The Broncos just played one. I tuned in because it was the Broncos.
And it was a win.
And it was a win. And it was on really early morning for breakfast. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I'm watching a football game, with my egos. That's kind of cool. But for this, it's like, for football, you can get away with not having a game during the week because that's an NFL schedule.
Yeah.
You play one game a week. Is it necessary to go with no games for these two teams for a week, pretty much at the beginning of the season when things are just getting rolling, and now you're basically giving them a bye week right now. I don't know, like, it's cool, and I think it's great that the NHL does this, and I said this to Adam, I think the good outweighs the bad on doing
Mhm.
things like this, but, like I said, if you're not a fan of either one of these teams, um, you might not just tune in just because it's being held in Finland.
Yeah, this is one of those things that the NHL, the perfect way to fix this, and we'll say fix. It's not broken because
Right.
these global games are inspiring new generations of like Finn hockey players that will say, "I remember the day when I was 8 and I got to see Mikko Rantanen on
Oh,
ice, and
for
it
the people in the
inspired me to."
country,
Yes,
huge, huge, yeah.
it's and you hear that a lot. Like that was the story of like the Russian players that the Red Wings had back in the day. Like those stories and those games mean a lot to the next generation. So this game alone is going to mean a lot to the next generation, but to the current NHL fans, this is one of those games you should have started the season with. Like
Well,
this
like they did with San Jose and
that
Nashville.
should have been in Finland. And
Yeah,
there would
yeah.
have and you could have came back, you could have had 3 or 4 days and then resumed your season. That would have been a lot better. Just, like, plopped in the middle of your first month feels weird. If and honestly, like, look at the time, like, noon Mountain Time? Like,
That's the
who
other
wants
part of it.
let me call into work. "Hello, boss. Yeah, I have to watch my team play the Blue Jackets in Finland."
That's the other part of it, and going back to football's on a Sunday.
Yep,
You know what I mean? So that's geared towards the average Joe, I guess you want to say, that works the
the
Monday
9
through Friday.
yeah.
Like you have a lot of eyes on for Sunday morning. This is a Friday in the afternoon, depending on what coast you're living on. I, I don't like Saturday. I think is going to have a lot more viewers than the Friday game. But yeah, I think that plays a role, and it's not even being aired on ESPN or TNT. Like, there's times where I like have to stay home from work because like my kids are sick or something like that. There is nothing on in
Yeah.
daytime television. It's pretty bare. So why can't you throw these games on a something like ESPN or TNT right now? I,
And
I don't get it.
it's defeating the purpose, like, ESPN and TNT, ever since they've acquired the rights to the NHL, they've been marketing machines when it comes to giving you the stories and selling the game and really broadcasting its reach. And, like, NHL Network is it's not something you get in your normal cable package, it's an ad you have to it's an add-on.
Hmm.
So, NHL fans get NHL Network. This is not something that's lumped in like the NFL Network.
Hmm.
Um, this is just kind of falling flat. Like, it's there's no
There's no fanfare
Mm.
around it. Nothing like the outdoor games or the Winter Classic or something like that. Yeah, it's just you have to go find this to if there's people that I can say like the Avalanche and Blue Jackets are playing each other tonight. Oh, that's cool. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's the game in Finland. You know what I mean? It's just you have to remind them that not only are they playing each other, they're playing in another country. It's just I feel like the hoopla, there is none around it unless
No.
you are part of the fan bases like we are. I don't know, man. I just, and then on the way home, they have another like 4 days off after these games are over, right? Because it's Friday, Saturday, and then I think they don't play until Wednesday.
I believe so,
I
yeah.
think so. So you got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. So you got another handful of days off. And I don't want to sound like, because I live in the United States, like I don't want these games. Like I think it's a good idea. I just think they need to, like you were saying, like do it in the beginning of the season. Do it first thing in the season. That was fine what they did with, well, I don't, it wasn't fine what they did with the Predators and the Sharks, because you followed that up with more preseason games, which made no sense to me. But you can do this stuff. I just don't get doing it in this fashion after a month into the season.
What if you can't do it at the beginning of the season, this is what you need to do with your All-Star game.
get rid of it.
No, no, stop
Yeah.
that. No, take the All-Star game and make it go international. Like, take it to different locations around the world. Like, and that's the rest of the league week off. They could do whatever. You could get more of those like content days where everybody's doing goofy little Instagram posts. But your All-Stars go to
That's a great idea.
like Canada,
Uh,
and you get the content there, really hype up the game in those international markets, and you get to see the best of the best.
hmm.
Like, I feel like that could also be a really effective tool.
Because that, I mean, who would say, like you said, like the people of Finland, who would they rather see? Would they
Exactly.
rather see the Avalanche versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, or would they rather see an NHL All-Star game?
Yeah.
That's not a bad. I mean, that the logistics of that would probably be a massive undertaking to get all those guys to agree to travel that far. But
The
I think they could
competitions
do it.
are they already scaled back on the competition. It's just basically a friendly matchup, an exhibition of the game.
Yeah,
Like the game's brightest stars on the world's greatest stage. Like it
right.
sells itself. They just go out there, have a good time, like kiss babies, shake hands, and come
Hmm.
back and resume hockey the next week.
That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that. And because one thing I said to Adam was, what if you were the Boston Bruins, who are just on fire right now,
Yeah.
and you're playing great, playing great, playing great, and then you're not playing for 6 days?
Yeah.
Like that would maybe take them out of the rhythm a little bit, you know. So I don't know. Like I know maybe we're piling on like the negative side of this, but the positive is also very good because, like I
Yep.
said, the amount of talent you get from however many countries are involved with the NHL, it's good for for some players to go, and that's what you're selling. You're really
Yep.
not selling the Avalanche versus the Blue Jackets. You're selling Mikko Rantanen gets to go back to his country and play, and Patrick Laine does, and Arturi Lehkonen does. But that's what you're really selling.
And my last point to it is that right there, especially coming through everything we did in the pandemic season, the opportunity to finally get to play in front of your family that probably hasn't had a chance to watch you in a while. Like
Yeah, up close,
the,
sure.
you get that chance to play in front of friends and family that you've been kind of cut off from for a while. So there's a lot of benefits. I know we're talking about the inconvenience to us as the fan not getting to see them for a while,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of long-term benefits that could be made from this game as well.
Sure, definitely. So either way, we're finally going to be able to watch an Avalanche game, and we're going to talk about that. And then we'll also get to our Instagram questions, which we didn't get to the other day, which we threw out every once in a while. We just throw that out there. Throw us mailbag questions our way, and we'll answer as many as we can. But first, we are going to hear from BetOnline, betonline.net. It's your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season, which is well underway. You can find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball's World Series, MMA, boxing, and golf. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That is betonline.net, where the game starts. All right, sir. Yeah, so finally we have some Colorado Avalanche hockey. Get excited about that. And put the Finland thing aside. Avs got to win some games.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the matchup, and that's the other thing. Like you're sending two teams over there that really have no like history together, so you really can't sell that either. But for the
So what's
Avalanche,
that Duchesne thing?
yeah. But maybe for the Avs, like you're playing a team that is really struggling early in the season. So maybe this is coming along at the right time for the Avs to get a couple wins back in the win column, back to back. You win, like I don't want to split here. I
Oh,
don't. I
oh.
want a play 2 games, play your hearts out for 2 games, give the people of Finland a great show, come back with 4 points, and you are feeling so much better.
Yeah, and Columbus is desperate right now. With the
Yeah.
acquisition of Johnny Hockey, you thought this campaign would go a lot better than it is, and it's not. And the panic
Yeah.
button is starting, you're starting to hover your hand over the button like, "This is not working, this is not what we want." If this team manages to split these 2 games, it gives them it gives them confidence coming back on that plane ride, and the Avalanche do not need to. They came into, uh, Finland off a loss and stewing. They don't need to stew on the way back. We gotta get our mojo.
Yeah.
We gotta get our swagger back.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was a shocker when Gaudreau decided to go to Columbus. I don't believe that's where he initially wanted to. I think he wanted to go to. You were here in Jersey, you were here in East Coast, and that's more or less where he ended up. But I don't think people were like, "Oh my god!" Like Columbus has Johnny Gaudreau, they are now pushing for a playoff spot. I think you're going to be a little bit better when you have someone like him on the team, and he's going to pose a problem for the Avs. When he's not on the ice, though, you got to take advantage of this team. And I know
Yes.
that the Avs are struggling on their bottom line, but still, like as much as the Avalanche are struggling on those bottom six, like this could be a game for them that picks them up because they really should just have their way with Columbus. They're struggling. I think they're the worst team in the league of goals against. I think they're like over 4. I could be wrong on that, but I think no. I think they're over 4 goals a game. We're at money puck here, but more or less, people are scoring at will
Yep.
against Columbus, and the Avalanche are. We know what they can do offensively. They gotta. I think having so many days off, you're gonna have probably a few shifts to get back into the flow of again. That's just the reality of it. That should go away so quickly, and the Avs really should just jump on this team as quickly as possible.
And it's one of those that once you start scoring, and if you can really separate yourself, like really get scoring and make it fun and really fire up the team, it'll trickle down. And then you could get that bottom 6 going and you can get some confidence instilled in them. And maybe you can see the minutes expand and then they could build on it in the next game and then win 10-0 and come back. And
Mm,
then the Avalanche could finally start cooking and putting stuff together. This is a team that matches up well where the Avalanche can do that. They just have to do it. And that's the same thing we've been asking all season from this Avalanche team.
yeah, and you just look at Columbus and just nothing really is going well for them. Their expected goals is 44%, which is on the low end. Their goal differential, they've scored 26 and they've given up 44. That's a differential of negative 18, which is tied for worst in the league with Anaheim. So they're gonna give you opportunities just left and right. Their goaltending is struggling. You look at just the stats, and even Gaudreau, who through 10 games has 5 goals and 3 assists. So he's, just shy of a point per game. So he's got 8 points total. He's a -1. You just go up and down this roster, and there's only a handful of guys. I say handful, I'm talking about 2 that are a plus, and they're +1. Yeah.
And like
Kent Johnson is 1, who's more or less a rookie. And who's the other one? I think it's Boone. No, Boone Jenner's a negative. Like all these guys are negative. Werenski's a -5. Jacob Voracek's -7. So they're just a struggling team. There's no way around it, and they're going to give you opportunity. Is it Avalanche have to sweep these two? They just have to. They have to.
I mean, if we just saw Erod net 2 goals the other night, and let's just say he carries an extra point. He leaves that night with 3 points. That would put him 10th on the Columbus Blue Jackets for points.
Hmm.
That's how bad this team is struggling. From just a one game performance from Erod. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And like you were talking about Johnny Hockey, he's got 8 points to lead the team. And that's just not enough. Like you can't get a team fired up, and like the minutes are also kind of out of whack for this team. Nothing's really going right, and everything we talk about the Avalanche, this is the example of a nothing going right. without the advantage of that top line like Colorado has.
Yeah. You just, I'm trying to look at, well, Laine's been out for a while, so he's only played 4 games. So you haven't really seen what he can do yet. Boone Jenner, who I really like,
Yeah.
just hasn't got going. He hasn't. So it's a struggle for this team. So it's not like they were riding into this break playing well. I think they got blown out by the Devils. I think it was like 7-1. And
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it on the show after, like, they had a closed door meeting with the team. So I think this is a team for the future. And you have a really good one in Goudreau. But overall, the Avalanche are such a better team right now, and they need to go out and prove it. You're going to put, if you're going to put on a show for the people of Finland, go ahead and put on a show. Throw up a touchdown on the scoreboard for both games. That would
And
be fun.
especially with the caliber of goalie play that Columbus is getting now, this game is primed for that. I mean, you get to see how like Elvis's game has stepped down. The same season we get to watch Jordan Binnington's game step down a little bit. So this is the perfect time to like take advantage of like name goalies. Like Elvis was a household name, and now he's sitting on like 894 save percentage.
He's worse than that.
Is it worse than
he-
894?
He's 864 right now. Yeah, he's given up 4.75
Yeah.
goals against a game.
He's got 2 wins.
Yeah, but so, both of them. Tarasov's got an 893 save percent. So neither one of them are over 90% save percentage. And he's given up 3.57. So you can't go out there and beat this team 1-0.
Oh,
do it.
no. Yeah,
So
there
they're
should be
giving
no
up
close games.
Yeah, they're giving up 3.5 and almost 5. Almost 5 goals per game Elvis is giving up. So take advantage early. Just put them behind early. Get up 3-0. Don't blow it like you did with the Islander game, and just keep the foot on it. You have to. You have to. So I think they'll do it. We don't know if Nichushkin's going to be. He's there, obviously. But Jared Bednar did a press conference where he said it was odd because he said he was getting better, but he felt like in practice he didn't look as good. Maybe like took a little bit step back. So I don't know. Maybe he won't play the first game and we'll play the second. Maybe he plays both. Maybe he plays neither. I don't know. So we don't know about that. We know Gabe Landeskog's not going to be there, but he is there wearing shorts, throwing pucks around from the bench. You can't keep that dude away from the ice.
He's the most active player I've ever seen.
I know. I know. And it was great because they did the team picture. And I usually you always see the captain front and center, but because he was wearing the shorts, he had the jersey on. He was back row. It's funny to see him there though. So we'll see what happens. He's the only one, and he did say Darren Helm, no timetable on him.
Yeah, I think we could just stop bringing his name up for a while.
Shelve both. Well, we know what's going on with Landeskog, but I wouldn't get your hopes up with Darren Helm anytime soon. So focus is on Val right now and getting him back. He's the first one to come back, hopefully tonight. All right, let's hear from SimpliSafe. And then we got some of our Instagram questions to get to. So did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off of their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. You can order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. I don't know about you, Kyle, but do a lot of Amazon shopping around the holidays. I mean, all throughout the year, but more
Online
so.
shopping is a plus. Yes.
I like going to the malls for the Christmas season. I'll go. I don't even have to buy anything. I just like the ambiance and stuff. But the buying part, a lot of it's Amazon. So a lot of packages are coming to the houses. SimpliSafe is the way to go. They will monitor your house 24/7. You never have to worry. It's a 24/7 professional monitoring service that costs less than $1 a day. It's less than half the price of ATD's traditional professionally installed system. And with top-rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your camera, or adjust system settings. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that we recommend. You get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, we got questions from our friends over at Instagram, and I kind of threw it up as ask us Avalanche questions, or if you want to throw some Star Wars stuff in there, which is why I'm wearing the Star Wars hoodie today. And a lot of people did throw some Star Wars, and oh yes, right underneath, you got it too. There we go. But I will start with there are hockey questions. We're going to ask those too. And Brandon asks, have our season predictions changed any? And I answered that as like, not for the Avalanche. my prediction for the Avalanche have stood the same. I'm not changing them after a month, but for other teams, have they? And I don't know. That's a good question, because it's a little bit early in the season to be like, yeah, I'm totally sold on this team. I'm totally sold on the Devils. Totally sold on the Sabres. So I don't know. Maybe ask me that question in another month, and I can give you a more concrete answer. But when we did our picks and stuff like that, I'm not changing my picks right now, a month into the season. Have teams impressed me? Absolutely. But am I changing things? Not right now.
For those keeping score at home that really wanted to laugh at me, boy, I look like a genius now with my Devils and Kraken pick, eh?
However, you did put Columbus in the playoffs as well. So
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's true. But I do. I think, and on both sides, we should talk about that, because a lot of us are saying like, oh, Avalanche should win the division, and then who's in second? A lot of people putting St. Louis out there. St. Louis looks horrid.
And a lot of us had Toronto going all the way, and that team doesn't even look like they're going to be the same at trade deadline.
No, but I want to say like what Toronto's going through is similar to what the Avalanche are going through right now. Nobody's giving up on the Avalanche. Everybody's like, oh, they'll turn it. This is how they started last year. They got a good team. Toronto's in the same boat. They're not at the bottom of the standings. They're holding their head above water, and I think they're talented enough to continue that, or to continue to get better.
The difference is Colorado continually climbed all the way to the top of the mountain. Toronto has been hitting their head against the same wall for a long time, and that team's starting to believe that's its identity.
That's the problem. Yeah, if it really is getting into their head, and you start hearing the chirping about, Sheldon Keefe job on the line, that's the stuff that you have to try to tune out. If you can't, you just start seeing some cracks.
Yep.
I don't know. Who's the biggest? This is from Birdie Arse, I believe is how you say it. Who is the biggest surprise in terms of over and underperforming for the Avalanche?
I'm shocked at JT Compher underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
Erod overperforming.
I think the easy ones for underperforming, I even throw Newhook in there. Not that we didn't really know what we were expecting, but I don't think it was one goal at this stage in the game. So I think he's underperformed and overperformed, and it's in a good way, is Val Nichushkin. He's overperforming.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
You could ask this question last year, and we would have put Nazem Kadri. Nazem Kadri overperformed last year.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. He's capable of doing this, but as far as overperforming, I think I'd have to put Nichushkin in there. And Erod is starting to come along, obviously. So hopefully he can continue to overperform. It's only going to help the Avalanche. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else who's like overperform. I don't know. I think that's really it. Everybody else is kind of.
I really thought that it would take Erod a lot longer to do what he's doing now.
Like longer into the season, you think
multiple point games, like stringing them together and being a offensive threat.
Yeah. Grant Foster asked, do you think there's a lack of leadership on those depth lines?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I don't know if there's no like divide between, well, you're the leader of the bottom six, and Nathan McKinnon is leader of the top. Is there's just one, but I get how he's asking, like when you're out on the ice.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that's really kind of taking a leadership role? And how I answered him was well, Cogliano, you would think would be that guy. And I'm not saying he's not doing that. I think there's always nobody's like giving up trying to like motivate these guys out on the ice. It's just the production. You're not getting the results. So I don't
Yeah,
think it's for a lack of someone, especially like in his position. Um, I don't know if Comfer's really that rah guy. But Logan O'Connor seems to be a little bit like could get people like up and at him. But no, I don't think it's for a lack of effort of trying to be a leader. It's just you're not getting the end result.
yeah, the team's not whole. Everybody's playing a role they're not supposed to. In the words of Dante from the Clerks, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Star Wars. Which Avs player takes care of Grogu?
Frankie.
See,
He's
I said Georgiev.
well, he's got that. Frankie's got that just naturally like sweet, adorable personality.
That's true. So you want somebody, but do you want somebody that with the sweet, adorable personality? Because there's going to be peril along the way.
He's on the
And-
bench. It's a lot safer than between the pipes where Georgiev is.
So you can hide him, like stuff him under the bench or something like that. Yeah. No, I put Georgiev on there. I think I said something to the effect of like it'd just be fun to say Georgiev, the protector of Grogu, over and over again. Yeah. That's where was the other one? I had one here. Oh, which Avalanche team member would win in a pod race?
Ooh, a pod race. Sammy G. He's light.
That's what I said too.
Really?
Exactly what I said.
Sammy G.
Nick
Yeah.
asked that, by the way. Our good buddy Nick.
Good old
that.
Nick.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. You need to be light and nimble. And that is, I mean, Sammy G and young Anakin are about the same size. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is pod racing.
Who is the Avalanche Sith Lord and Jedi Grand Master?
Ooh.
See, for Sith Lord, I said Nichushkin just because he has that confidence about him. Or I can just see him just like hanging, just talking to like Luke or something like that. I'd be like, dude, just come over to this side. Like, just so calm, cool, collected, because that's what you need in like a Sith Lord. I just
Nathan
feel
McKinnon.
like see,
the anger gets to him.
But that, yeah, McKinnon could be.
He's a Sith.
Luke.
He's Anakin episode 3.
Or Anakin, I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's
could
Anakin
be.
episode 3.
Yeah.
And like Cale Makar is your Grandmaster Jedi.
I said Joe Sakic. I went back further. He's calling the shots right now.
He's Obi-Wan.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see. So there was one last one I was going to bring up. Oh, Avs fan 970. In your honest opinion, what is the worst Star Wars episode and why is it Revenge of the Sith? Revenge of the Sith is fantastic, if you ask me. You just got that culmination at the end of everything that you've watched in episode 4, 5, and 6 for years, and you saw how it all panned out at the end of episode 3. I absolutely love Revenge of the Sith.
I want to say 1.
1 was cool because it was like the first Star Wars movie and so long, and you were just enamored by it.
Tonally, it doesn't match up with 2 and 3.
It's
2
different.
It got too serious, and 3 was what we all wanted.
2, and how I answered it, like I wasn't like 2 is a great story. If you're just looking at the story, it's great. The acting just pulled me out of 2 so bad. I'm not saying it was that much better in 3, but 2, it was just it was kind of, there were so many cringeworthy moments in 2.
Yeah,
but I get it. Like one is like that fun camp. It's like almost like a kid movie. It really is. And people want to say Jar Jar ruined it. Jar Jar didn't.
Jar Jar and midichlorians, the things that really got me.
Yeah, no. So I don't know. Like we've done it before, where we've ranked our Star Wars movies. Maybe we need to revisit that, especially I think on it. People were asking about Andor. I have not started Andor yet. I haven't.
It is the greatest thing Star Wars has put out in so long.
Well, I'm almost done with the Lord of the Rings, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Maybe it's rubbing some people the wrong way. I think it's fantastic. But Andor, I'm on the last episode of Lord of the Rings, and then Andor is on the queue.
It will change your life. I'm not even kidding.
All
It's so
right.
good.
Those are big words. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. I don't know if you took the day off or what you did or how you're going to watch, but we got some Avalanche hockey and pretty much bright and early.
Yeah.
No matter where you live, it's going to be bright and early. So that'll be fun. So Kyle and I will be back. We may do an episode tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see how the night goes. If not, we'll be back on Monday. So one way or another, we'll see you guys relatively soon. But it's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And we'll see you guys soon.